Hey everybody, this is Sully with 5 freaking onion rings coming at you today. Betaflight 3.4 just dropped. No release candidates anymore, just 3.4 in all its glory. So we have it on the Leader 120 F3 board. You don't get to take advantage of the I-term relax or the throttle smoothing, the filter throttle, all that good stuff, but you do get really good Betaflight that is stable, and oh my god, it is so much better than the release candidates. I have no idea what they did to this to make it better, but on stock PIDs, far beyond anything I've flown with the Leader 120. After tuning, it's going to be a monster, but I love 3.4 on this. And the 3-inch Micro Beast. Now, I didn't have good hopes for this because I keep having a back motor that warms up, and yeah, it warms up, and I love this thing and I hate it, and it's hard to tune, and it's just hard. It's a pain. And I have learned that 3.4 makes it freaking awesome, just like me. Freaking awesome. Motors come down cool, except for the back right one. But that's a normal thing, generally because I turn right all the time. So I think it gets a little more pressure on it, but it does not come down scalding hot. It doesn't have a prop wash like it used to have. It doesn't jiggle like it used to do. It just does what it should do, which is pretty freaking awesome. Now, I'm going to show a couple demo flights, and then we're going to run through how to set up Betaflight, how to flash from scratch, and the settings I used for the 3-inch. Now I will say an F3 board, it's just flash and go. There are no CLI commands because you don't really have the CLI commands in there for the new filtering stuff that's not in configurator 10.3.1. And make sure you're using 10.3.1 and not 10.3.0 or you'll have a gyro problem, and yeah, that would suck. So 10.3.1 on an F3 board, stock, just flash it and go. Set it up like you want to. F4 board, there are some CLI commands I'll run through at the end. That's a kind of a longer part of this video, so I'm just putting it on the end. If you've never flashed a board, or if you want to, see what I'm running, that's perfectly fine. So we're going to jump to the F4 and the F3, Leader 120 and the 3-inch, and we're just going to jump and run right through it. is Sully. Welcome back to the channel. Just starting off today, trying to update to Betaflight 3.4 that is released. If you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe down below. Give me a like and a thumbs up. Comment what you want to see, and we will get to it. So right here on screen, we have Betaflight Betaflight Configurator 10.3.1. I like to set auto connect to on so that when I plug in my mighty micro beast like so, I get my beeps, I get my connect, I get my arming disabled, calibrate accelerometer, and we're going to update. So we're going down to CLI, type in BL, stands for bootloader, hit enter, get a weird failure. Make sure this says DFU. If this does not, then you use a virtual COM port and need to use Zadig. There are several videos around. One of them will tell you how. It also says latest Zadig can be downloaded from here. That's very important to know because all of the recent flight controllers I've purchased use Zadig for the virtual COM port. So we're going to go down to firmware flasher. Make sure this says DFU. You can actually do release on this point. Make sure you choose the correct board. If you do not choose the correct board, you will have some weird issues. In my previous attempt at this, I selected Omnibus F4, not F4SD, and could not get my accelerometer to calibrate. I couldn't get it to turn on. None of my controls worked, and just random stuff did and did not show up on screen like it should. So make sure you are selecting the correct firmware for the board, or correct board, and then the correct firmware. Omnibus 3.4.0 is out. So we're going to click that. Go down here. I was on 3.4.0 RC4, so I skipped 5 because of no new changes. But there have been several from release candidate 5 and 4 that are worthwhile. So I'm going to hit load firmware. Oh, I already had it loaded. Dang. Well, I'm reloading firmware just in case. And we're going to hit flash firmware. Bam! Erasing. I love this thing. Awesome. Coming through here. Erasing. And for the record, I did not check what my settings were, but we will go through them very quickly right here. Successful. Flashing. Come on. I did not run through my settings, but I don't think too many things are very difficult. For the record, this is an F4 board, so I am definitely going to set this up to be a controller so I can use Grand Theft Auto 5 as my flight simulator with its perfect use against my controller. So love it. I can use my transmitter exactly as I do. Now we are back to COM 5. Go back to welcome. Hit connect and bam, we're in here. Going to ports. My UART 6 is my serial. Save and reboot. We're just going to go down the tabs here. This is what I do every time I redo something. Oh, that's unusual. It saved it. Ah, did not disconnect. That's interesting. Alright, that's weird. So I ran into my first thing. Whenever it saved and reboot, it didn't disconnect and reboot. So I'm pulling this out. Pause for dramatic effect. Reconnecting for dramatic effect. Going back in. Normally that reboot does it automatically, but in this case I had to pull the cable out. That's very interesting. So we're going back to make sure ports is there. Configuration, this is always fun. I use D-Shot 600. Why not? You should all be using that. Trust me, D-Shot, so much better. My yaw is negative 180 or positive 180. I do not have 8K, I don't have 32K. I like using the accelerometer on this board only so that I can use the new trainer mode, acro trainer mode. I actually like it. Arming 180 is what you need. That will set you so you can arm at any orientation. So if you're stuck in a tree, with your accelerometer on, this will allow you to arm at any point. Personalization, I don't have OSD on this board, so I don't really care for that. Camera, FPV angle, that will help you if you use FPV angle mix mode, which will allow you to turn left and right using roll and pitch, and it will coordinate with yaw. So I always set it to 25, but I have not used it in so long. That's kind of a wasted point now, but it's something I set in case I want to do those really nice barrel, or not barrel rolls, but rolls that keep the center of the frame centered. I will turn on air mode permanently, and I did not do this last time, and it was hilarious at how many times I wrecked whenever I pulled the stick to 0, just because there was no control. So my propeller stopped in midair, and you really don't want that. So enable air mode. I'm turning off OSD to save the processor. Anti-gravity I keep on. Dynamic filters I keep on. RX lost and RX set, I don't really use these. Some people do. I do like to turn off USB while it's on the bench. That's beep when it's powered off USB. This has never worked for me, however, so if it works for you, I'd love to know down below. For me, on or off, I still get several beeps. So we're going to try save and reboot again, see if it actually reboots this time. It did. Yay. Okay, great. Coming back in. Not coming back in. There we go. Getting a little better. That's a little unusual in that it normally reboots automatically, but it's still fine. Power. Since I'm using a very small 850 battery, 750 battery, I set this to 3.5. Warning cell 3.3 for minimum cell. Once it beeps 2 times, I'm pretty much at 3.5. Recovers to 3.7, and that will get me to 3.7 holding whenever I'm through with my flight, which is perfect for me. I have no current meter, so if you do have current metering, yay, there's where you turn it on. Save it, moving on. Failsafe. This is if you use the switch. I don't really care about that anymore. That's the failsafe switch 1. It goes to stage 1 where it holds things. Auto is pretty much hold, last good. Oh, it returns to center, or returns to low. Oh, okay. So it will center and go low on throttles, so just don't fail safe. But if you do, I like to do 0.8, that's 0.8 seconds. So put 8 there and there, and that will cause you to drop right out of the sky in a little bit less than a second. But believe me, if you're doing full throttle, 1 second will scare the heck out of you. So yeah, 0.8, 1 second, somewhere around there. You do not want to leave this as turned off or to land. No, you just want to drop out of the sky. These things are made of carbon fiber. They will survive the crash, and if they don't, that's better than paying the insurance because you wrecked through someone's house window, or you hit a person, or it bounced across a couple of cars, and people chase you down for that. So make sure your failsafe is active. Since I don't use the switch, I use my arming as a failsafe switch as well. But whenever I lose channel, very, very rarely happens, and probably not as much as it used to anybody. But if I lose the channel, I have 1 second, or I have 0.8 seconds, and it will fall out of the sky. Save and reboot. Maybe this time it'll work. Hey, it worked this time. No idea why. PID tuning. This is the fun stuff. So here, for this particular quadcopter, I always keep these at stock. I do like my RC rate to be 1.75 and 1.75 for this little 3-inch beast, because it is a lot of fun. And 0.75, 0.75, and 0.75. Now this does whip it around, so if I do snap rolls, half turns, it will bounce back a little bit just because of the battery is underslung and heavy enough. For D set point weight, I like that to be 1. For D set point transition, I've gotten where I like 0.5. This will make the center kind of sloppy, not sloppy, but it's not as sensitive. I used to fly at 0, but that really does pick up every minute movement of your finger. So 0.5 is good for me. I will use VBAT PID compensation, so as the battery decreases, the PIDs stay about the same. That's all good. Anti-gravity gain, I always set 8. Seems to work the best for this particular quad to keep it from dipping. 5 works as well. Either one of those is good. We're going to hit save. Go over to filter settings. This one's very important. You have your profile dependence, so you can change these dependent upon your rate profile. Oh, wow, we have 6 rate profiles now instead of 3. And holy cow, we have 3. Oh, gracious. Okay, all right. Well, that's good to know. Going back in, I didn't know we had 6 so you can get 18 profiles out of here if you want. But these are profile dependent and these are profile independent. So once you set these, they are going to work across the board, general, and these are specific. And if you notice, all your notch filters are turned off. And that's due to increased filtering from how the Betaflight 3.4 is set. They did the two passes, and so far I have noticed that it's just awesome. I've got nothing bad to say about it. Receiver, I always set my low up to 1010, my high to 1990. RC deadband, yaw deadband, yada yada yada. We're good there. Hit save. I don't have my receiver with me, so I can't really test that, but it will work. And moving on. This is also AETR 1234 is for flysky. Then you have your others. So don't forget that. Depends upon your particular remote. RSSI, low, high, RC. Some people put in RC deadband. I do not. Never had a use for it. When I did, it was 2 and I didn't really notice the difference. Modes, ARM. I like that to be aux1 over. Angle, aux2. Halfway. Horizon, aux2 all the way. This means that I have a 3-position switch, so 0, angle, horizon, just for fun. Head free mode. My last video was on why you should never use head free mode. Oh man, it's fun with line of sight, but if you forget to switch it back, you are in deep trouble. Here's where you can set your failsafe. Don't really care. Beeper. This is in case you get lost. I don't have aux5, so I will set beeper later. It's supposed to be aux5 though, so that part's okay. And here is FPV angle mix, so where we set 25 before, this is where you would add a switch so that you can do rolls with coordinated yaw. Flip over after crash, this is your turtle mode, pretty cool. Acro trainer, that one's a fun one too. That one I do aux4. I always use 4 for that. I'm going to save this. This will get me in the air and make me happy. So, once you save it, you notice that since I have no controller, I'm at 1500 and 2 become active. Not a big deal. Adjustments, I never use, but when you do, this is really cool if you want to change PIDs without using OSD, because you can actually set up all of your rates, and you can set up to adjust, or to, in my case, I set up all my profiles to a switch, but I haven't used that in a while. Servos I don't have, motors don't care, sensors don't care, black box don't have, and we're good. Back into CLI. Here are the fun ones. Set. Let's just do get. Get to see all the commands. Wow, why is it taking forever? Okay. Looking through here quickly. USB HIDC DC equals off. This will allow you, so we're going to change that. This particular one, USB HIDC DC, on will allow you to use your controller as, or I'm sorry, it'll allow you to use your flight controller and receiver as a joystick for the PC. So on, that means that I can now use it as a controller And that's pretty cool if you use any simulators, or in my case, Grand Theft Auto 5, which I love. I will say get filter. Is it filter or RC? RC. And in here, where is it? RC. If you did want to do throttle limit, so this way 100%, if you wanted to save your battery, you could set that to 80. That works very well. Runaway takeoff, deactivate throttle percent. This is very, 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 very important if you've ever put your props on backwards. So make sure this is 25 or lower. Otherwise, you can rocket to the moon. I don't overclock, don't really find a use for it. For me, I'm not that great of a pilot. Trying to find, here we are. RC smoothing type equals. This you want to set to filter to take advantage of the new stuff. So set, or Control V, filter. This works really well on this particular quad. That just smooths out your RC filtering, which is good. Going back up, there's iTerm relax. So let's go get relax, enter. All right, iTerm relax is a new feature. I always set that to RPY, and you will notice a slight difference when you do it. It's very hard for me to describe because I don't know the technical way to describe that, but that's okay. So we're setting it to RPY. Crash flip motor, VBAT. The other one I like, get throttle. And this will give you throttle boost. Cutoff at 15 is good. I actually like the throttle boost at 5, and this way when you come out of S turns and out of those things, what are they called? Those things. You know what I'm talking about, those things. The loop-de-loops. What are they called? Power loops. When you come out of power loops, you won't have to stab the throttle at the end, so you can slowly come up and it'll catch you a lot better. And honestly, that is all I set for this new 3.4. And from there, we're just going to take a flight. And unfortunately, I can't do that right now. So we're going to hit save. Enter. Connect. Anytime I make changes, I like to run through one more time. There is one more check that I want to see. Let's go back to configuration. Idle motor, yada yada, accelerator trim, arming, 180. That is very important. 180 is also my yaw because my flight controller is backwards. Receiver, that's the one. I knew I missed something. S-bus, so serial based, and I need it to iBus. Save and reboot. That's probably related to my... Alright, so rebooting from the configuration screen does not truly reboot. It actually locks me up. So, something to know. If you're on configuration and you hit save and reboot, it does not save and reboot. It actually does, but it doesn't. So that's funny. Okay. You have to save and reboot. You'll have to manually disconnect if you save and reboot from configuration in 10.3.1, the latest Betaflight. So firmware, we're going to go through one more time, double check everything. Make sure you have expert mode on. Power and battery, 3.3, 3.5 we're good. Failsafe, 0.8 seconds. Stage 2 to drop. That is good. PID tuning, stock numbers for me. Yours will definitely vary, and mine will vary after a few flights because I'll get tired of the prop wash probably. Deset weight 1, transition 0.5. VBAT PID compensation and anti-gravity gain are good. Filter settings, stock, just to start. Receiver, correct type. Modes, they're still set. Can I set, now I get my aux 5. Beeper, that's why I did not get my aux 5. So I can set my acro trainer aux 4. And if I want to, I can set my angle mix, but I don't. If I did have a better camera with OSD, I could do camera controls, and that's okay. Pre-arm I don't use. Paralyze I don't use because I don't race around people. And from there, we're just going to disconnect. That is it for today. Want to thank you again for joining me. We're going to take a test flight tomorrow when the weather is beautiful and see what changes we need to make. But for now, that's the easiest 10.3.1 configurator to set up 3.4.0 on your Betaflight flight controller. And thank you again. Got any comments, concerns, questions, just link down below. Hit a comment. Love it if you do. If you got any criticism, leave it down below. I'd love to hear it. And I thank you again. Hope y'all have a good one. Take care. And we'll talk at you next time.